preseason roster has been officially announced. And you know what that means? It's time. It's preseason time. So, welcome everyone to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast with the Origin Blueprints. As you know, once again, I'm your host, Manny Olivares. Credential Houston here for the Houston Dash. We know it's going to be a long, long, beautiful season, but not showing here along with the ride with me is my boy Diego. How you
How
doing,
we
Diego?
doing? How we doing? I'm good. I'm good. Long day of school, work, everything in between, but we're here. Like you say, it's preseason time. It's time to finally talk some NWSL action as we gear into our preseason games and as we get to hear from some players like Jane Campbell or head coach Fabrice Catrat. Um, excited, excited, happy. It was good to talk to him. It was good to talk to the man, the myth, the legend that is Fabrice. Um, he told us some interesting stuff. Excited to talk about it, but unfortunately, we were not able to join him for his appearance in the CBS Golazo show. Don't know how I feel about that, but happy to definitely be here.
Yeah, I know. I think after the Wednesday podcast, I was like, you know what, the news is gonna die down, but I feel like the news ramped up. Especially if you're a Houston Dash fan, I feel like, especially I think we'll mention as well a little bit more of the Golasso W podcast and also what he said on the press conference. I think after that, I feel like the Dash was spiking up in momentum and
Yeah.
and also media appearance, which is rare for the Houston Dash. Sometimes it's like we are the last team to be covered in that sense, but I feel like it's really good a different set of eyes, not just only us local media, but also just as well for the I think national eyes. I think the Dash are finally get recognized on that. But we have a lot of news to talk about even before then. So let's get the important, what sort of important news out of the way, and so we can talk more about a little bit of that. Ever since the last time we did the podcast, where we're like, okay, news died, no much else, but feel like we got a lot more news come in. Literally the day after Houston Dash signed a player at a critical position, goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we got like Houston Dynamo like Brazil FC, Dash is like goalkeeper FC. Like okay, we got now goalkeeper, Caroline Caroline DeLisle. I just that's how it is, man. And she came from her time from Sweden. Of course, she played with the San Diego Wave, sort of like a veteran type of player that has been around the blocks, for a while. And you're like, okay. And after that, we got Makenzy Robbe, who played at a certain time for a striker, more like a veteran striker. Not really, I think, hasn't been as a proactive in the scoring department, and so it's 10 goals in 82 appearances with her seasons with San Diego Wave, but managed to be there for the Shield and the Challenge Cup. So is it good for that? And then you were like, okay, that means like with these players coming in, some departures will be on the way. Departure per se, JY still got her loan extended to Ottawa Rapid FC for another year. Interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's a good for her. I think for good for her that she gets another year after being defender of the year over at the USL Super Women's Super League. And then of course, then today we got the news that Liz uh, got loaned out to Tampa Bay Sun FC for the whole year. So they will come back on that.
Isn't that where what's her name? Uh, Heather Hins got sent to loan before we cut her.
No, she got Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. Okay, it's Florida
Yeah,
team. Or
yeah, it's in
got
Florida. I know. So yeah, she got Fort Lauderdale. So
okay.
she got on that as well. So it's pretty much pretty great, interesting. Of course, with that as well, they announced some preseason roster as well, additions as well with four invitees. Uh, that was really interesting as well. Another goalkeeper, Bato Reda, uh, and a defender, Natalie Brian, a as well a one forward, yeah, Sarah Foley as well as a forward, and another defender, Kate Harden. So we got two Nevites, an extra goalkeeper, and a forward for that as well. I think seeing those transfers, how do you feel? I think I think feel like the dash is keep making roster changes rapidly. But how's that looking out for you? The shape of the squad now with
I
this
mean, I
transfer?
think it's an ever evolving team. I
Yeah.
think Fabrice said it best in his press conference when addressing the media that it's not necessarily a Fabrice Coutrat team. It's a Houston Dash team, and I think he's kind of creating a collective vision of like, okay, who do we see benefiting the most on loan? Who do we see bringing impact on the first team? And you see that here. You bring in a three-time NWSL champ, amazing.
Hmm.
You're never going to complain about that, really. Like, there's going to be intangible knowledge. There's going to be intangibles there that you'll really be wanting from those kinds of players, especially with such a young core. And then Liz, made some really, really big splashes in the U23 camp under Emma Hayes, and I don't see why she can't continue doing that. And I think an important part of doing that as a goalkeeper is game time. You need to have
Hmm.
that confidence because you're not going to have the 7 or 8 chances on goal and you only need to pounce on 1 or 2. No, you need to make every single moment that you have the ball really count because you're defending your net. You're an error doesn't just cause you not to score. It causes you to fall deeper and deeper into a hole. So I think game time is really important for Liz. I think the clear cut number one is going to be Jane Campbell. I think it's kind of been decided here that we might not see like an Abby Smith situation where she had to fight. I think we're really going to see a more consistent backline with Campbell as the captain
Hmm.
or as one of the captains per se. Um, but yeah, again, getting NWSL championship experience in that backline is going to be invaluable, and I think a striker. I'm not necessarily the most fond of signing another striker, partially because we already have some quality in that position, and I mean we talk time and time again about the college stars that we have. One of them can play the 9, 10, possibly even an 11. I think offense. I think we're gonna be shaping up to be better than people expect, and that might be my bold take. We might have to run back a preseason roundtable for that, but I see that move a little more necessary, if you were to ask me.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail. It's a ever-ending revolving door. I know you mentioned a little bit about the Fabrice. I just wanted to get these names and thought out of the way before we're going. I think because that's the main meat of the podcast. I think we just learned a lot about this. One interesting thing that really took out of me what Fabrice mentioned on the preseason media day was that last year, we were the second oldest uh, average team in the NWSL. And so you saw that with the huge departures of, not say older players, but players that, okay, we need to move on and get younger
Mhm.
blood in the squad, but yet keeping, you know, veterans players. I think that's why the reason why we got Makenzy Robbe, because we have, of course, like you say, we have K Falsey, we have, of course, Messiah Bright is too young technically. Evelina Dujon is young. Kate Ryder, is young. Of course, the only and Amanda West, this is her third year and professionally. So, but she's still on injured. But you see, we only have a few veteran players, and so I get the strong unit core that we have. We need that. We need that. The Dash needs that. But you kind of need some veterans in the present. So I kind of like that part and seeing that as well. I think your thoughts on about that, how that Fabrice is moving on from this veteran players, but yet keeping the veteran players and bringing in a huge young core. I think is it a departure from, I think not to say from the old Dashway. I feel like the old Dashway was get, as we mentioned, just get proven players and try to win with proven players or veteran players. But I think now we're seeing somewhat like the building blocks of seeding more for the future instead of right now.
Yeah, I think definitely looking at summarizing this kind of Fabrice Catrat team. I know I said it wasn't a Fabrice Catrat team, but just for consistency's sake, I'm just gonna assume it's his team.
Mm.
But when you look at a Fabrice Catrat team and you've seen the way that they've played all season, even in their first half of the season, which we've talked over and over and over again about how poor that first start was.
Mm.
If you could describe all of it in one word, it would be hunger. You have hunger within this team. Maggie Graham, yeah, was a standout player. Who was predicting that in game one of the season?
Mm-hmm.
Same with Avery Patterson when she was a rookie. You have three players at least that can make that kind of impact. It creates hunger. It creates hunger. And when you give those types of players the knowledge and the know-how of how to maintain themselves, how to live like a professional, and kind of like how to make that better transition from college to the pros, I think it's invaluable what Fabrice is doing because veteran or not, there's still something that you can, teach. And I think definitely it's about, okay, I would say the old guard of the Dash had something to teach, and it benefited a lot of players, like an
Yeah.
Avery Patterson. But maybe this new group is going to really refresh something else that might make a a cat radar like be that explosive player, maybe get her a little more of a goal scoring tenacity. I don't know. But I think it's extremely important when going through these veteran changes, through retirement, through trades, through injury, or whatnot. Like, for example, a clear cut example that I can point to is you see Nat Jacobs get traded, and you're missing a big part of your back line where Jacobs was having arguably her best season of her career.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask yourself, why'd you do that? Well, because we want to sign Malia Berkeley, who it took her a week and she was starting games and playing the full 90. Like, it's that kind of thing where it's like, if you're going to replace the old guard, you better be prepared and you better have options of who you're going to replace them with because you don't want to be stuck in that zone of, letting go of players and then not being able to replace them. We've seen that on the Dynamo side with Mikael. Not sure we've seen that here in the Dash because again, this is such a fresh new team. But I mean, I just think it's like veteran presence is important, but it's
Yeah.
just important to necessarily just keep the squad as well balanced. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I think it's I think especially when veteran presence is really much needed, especially when pros, for college, college games are not long and excessive, just like the pro contracts, pro like the pro leagues are, more
Yeah.
games, in and out, traveling, diet, and also, your mindset. You get if you're not used to, you get fatigue, and sometimes you need someone with who has been there, done that to tell you what to keep eye on eye for, what to, uh, you know, step up your game in some other ways, and what you need to look out for. And so you
Yeah.
kind of need that veteran presence. You need someone with the brain, the mind, and you need someone with the legs, and of course the rookies comes with that as well. So,
Yeah.
but I think you mentioned a lot of good points that I really want to focus on this episode. I know, like you said, mentioned last year, Fabrice came in, and it felt like it was a rocky start to the season,
Yeah.
and it's something that really perked my ears. Other than just the ever-ending door of the the roster changes and the additions, departures, and retirement was also what he was focused on. Last year, he mentioned that it was more about, okay, let me get to know the team, let me know the iron out the philosophies, because it was first time as head coach, first time get down the airs. I don't know these players as well as much, He really
Yeah.
admitted that I didn't know these players as much. Now, by the end of the season, now we know our motto. Now we know our culture and what we're trying to implement. Now this year, he knows the players back of his hand. Of course, the rookies, this is his first time playing with them, and so other than that, he knows the squad. He knows okay how to get the best out of my team right now, and then just adding new ingredients to it, and so he feels more confident now.
Yeah.
I think he, of course, he came in as confident, but now I feel like after the season, I feel like he has even more confidence of this season going down. So with that in mind, I think do you expect for the season to be? I think it's premature to say it, but to have a better start to the season now, I think now with this, not just only the head coach, but now the team feels more bought into the culture and bought into the philosophy. You feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna be more better start this season?
I think the start's going to be phenomenal. I think we're going to see exciting football. We're going to see. I think we're going to see a lot more goals. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of goals when it comes in according to the league standard, but we're going to see a lot more goals. I think it's definitely going to be something where we can examine this team and kind of see parallels from the second half of the season, from last year. And I think the biggest question, because I feel like Fabrice, this is something that I understood why he is addressing these things in the way that he is. However, I'm not necessarily the happiest about it. When I was kind of trying when he was addressing the media to ask him just flat out like, hey, what are your expectations for the season?
Mm,
And we see coaches be like, hey, like playoffs, like hey, that's the requirement. And I'm gonna read the quote here just so I can like not miss say whatever he says. He said, "We're pretty clear of what we wanted to set out. If you look at the history of this club, outside of the 2020 Challenge Cup win, in terms of actually making the playoffs, that only happened once in 2022. A big slogan of ours is, what does it look like to make history for our club?" That's a great saying. I think that's great. I think that's textbook. But I don't know. I'm going to be asking you this question to kind of just like reflect on that. Um, do
and
you think that it should, instead of be, hey, let's motivate ourselves to make history, should it be set as a kind of a requirement of the season?
I think of course, I think it's sort of cliche. I think if you don't know the dash and you don't know what the team is, you would think that's a typical cliche answer from a coach. To
Yeah.
say like, "Oh, we here to make history. We're made to break records." But we want to think about it, the Dash doesn't have any records other than
Yeah.
the yeah, like other than the 2020 Challenge Cup and other than the one time playoffs. The Dash doesn't really have records. So when he actually says that, it actually has a little bit more meaning because the Dash doesn't have any history, doesn't have any records. Not because the Dash
Yeah.
hasn't been here or is a new expansion team. No, the Dash has been here since the beginning of the NWSL. The problem is that the Dash has been always in the back foot, never in the forefront. And so
Yeah.
now that I think that I say it would be cliche, but the problem is like now seeing how the season ended last year, I think that's a good motivation of like, okay, we laid the foundations last year. Okay, now how can we step it up and make something happen this year? You know, and make
Hmm.
actual history, as in like now something for the team to root for fans to root for not even fans, but the national media, to
Yeah.
root for. I think that's something really good to step into a positive change in the year. I know when you hear that, it's like, okay, that's sort of kind of what you expect it to do, but I feel like the Dash history, it's not. It's not. It's the opposite. I'm trying not to be like, okay, we're like the New York Jets. It will always that's it to myself, but
Sorry,
it's like,
Joe.
but it's just I think now there is groundwork. There is something in place to moving forward. You added pieces that you needed. You
Yeah.
move on pieces that you needed to move on. Now it's like, okay, will all these new pieces, all new adjustment make you a better team? Now it's time for the coach and the players to make history and do something, you know.
Yeah.
So I think something with that. I think wanted to get your thoughts about us and what he mentioned about the roster, the rookies that they signed. Anything that stood out for you from his point of view? How the
No,
rookies?
I think the quote of "we just got ourselves 3 first round picks." I think that's just a great way of segueing into how talented these players are, and I think this is a roster construction that can really scare people because this is also, yes, I 100% agree that this is a Dash team that should start more solid this season, and I think this team is a team that's built in a smarter way than we've seen in past years. Obviously, it's a little cliche to see, the Duke reunions, the UNC reunions, but in a world like sports, that's what works. You see the New York Knicks with 4 guys that went to Villanova. At one point, it was 5,
Mm-hmm.
and look at how good they are. That's in the world of sports. These kinds of cliches are the most effective. You can take 3, 4 years to build slowly a culture, but the biggest way to infuse a culture into a program like the Dash that you said it quite frankly has not had a true identity since they were founded.
Mm-hmm.
It's by creating not just talented players, but talented players that have played with each other and that know similar systems from each other. I mean, look, I don't necessarily think that the UNC or the Duke system, those are just 2 examples, is going to be the same as the Dash's system. For example, I don't like for Notre Dame. I don't think Notre Dame's system is the same exact for than the Dash. So I don't think Leah Klinke is gonna come from Notre Dame and immediately go into the Dash and be a certified All Star. I don't think that's what we're gonna see. But I think when we're gonna see these games where like an Orlando game where we were tied 0-0, those kinds of partnerships are going to be so crucial. And I think that's exactly why this team was built around the word that I suggested, hunger. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's all about how can we as a collective team best overcome the problems that we suffered through last season. And one of them was that late loss against Orlando. Another one was the 4-0 loss in Washington. There are plenty of things to point out that went wrong last season. But they're addressing them and actually moving forward instead of saying, hopefully we don't repeat them. I think that's wildly different than Dash teams of the past. And I am so excited, to see these college players. And Fabrice has spoke nothing but positive things about them, which is insane. I'm so happy about that.
I think as well with that as well, when he's speaking about the college players, I think what I like about most about it, as Diego went to get his charger, that he actually knows what he's gonna do with each player. I think that's something that I really like about. I think you kind of you wish like when a team signs a new player, you kind of have a thought maybe they will go this way, maybe this player can fit this way. Now Fabrice knows like okay, what these players are going to contribute already, where they're going to slide in. Leah that he mentioned. The biggest drive is that Houston native, has someone that could be impacted on right away in the back line, ability to be versatile, which is extremely key. You know, Kay Rader, he already knows that she can play anywhere in the 10 row, or players that come inside the pocket, and could be, if needed, to be played wide as well. And so, and I like the one I really interesting is Linda Olmark. Shirley Young has an
Yeah.
engine, could be a mix between Danny Calaprico or Maggie Graham. That can cover the whole area, but yet can be very tactical as well. Of course, Katie Fawcett. She's basically here says that she is basically lethal. 50% of her goal if of shots go into goals. Basically what he says. So he kind of knows where to put these players coming in, already, slot him in. So it's not much guesswork. It's just about
Yeah.
execution now. And so we see about that. He mentioned also about, the defense. Now we have a full year of Lisa Boateng, Malia Berkeley now in the squad. Now we actually has time to see how these players, but of course you can't forget, the depth. I think that's really interesting about he mentions about the depth, the recruitment. We need players to also help us, to not only just for the starting 11, but the depth wise as well. We trying to see, to make this team more competitive inside and outside. We're trying to see how this will be, and the pieces they got, they're really excited about. And so, but I think one thing I think from this press conference is like I feel like the Dash are still not done. What
Mhm.
according to what he says, I feel like he's still looking for more pieces to add, which is good. For a if you're a fan or trying to cover this team, you want that hunger. You want like my team is good, but it can be better. And that's something you want from a club. You can't just be satisfied of the progress you made. You always strive to do more, and I think that's something that really approached me. But uh, now this is Fabrice's second year.
Mhm.
Uh, you think if this, I know we're going to talk about a little bit more of our preseason predictions. I think once we get to see a little bit more of the preseason friendlies and and everything, if we get to see them, and also just a little bit more about ins and out once we preseason and training starts. Is it too early to say that maybe Fabrice could be coach of the year,
I like that idea. I like that idea.
or
Getting
is that too early to say?
getting weekly talks with the coach of the year. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
No, I think when you look at the potential that this Dash season has, really, like on a serious level, there is a very big possibility for him to win Coach of the Year because I mean this is a Dash team that hasn't made the playoffs since 2022, and that was their only time making it in franchise history. If they even for a little bit make a run in the playoffs, he's winning the Coach of the Year. You're talking about a team that has had no history of success during their time as a club, and then you have a second year coach, not just a second year coach for the Dash, a second year coach, period, with a completely new roster that was almost completely overhauled by halfway through his first season, compete in, I would argue, despite what happened today with Gotham losing, the most, if not one of the most competitive leagues in the world. That's coach of the year material. I think I don't know else how to describe it. That is coach of the year material.
I think you mentioned about Gotham. I think I'll give Gotham a pass just because
Esther wasn't playing.
Okay, Esther wasn't playing, and then, but also as well, the only true international competition they have is the Women's Champions Cup,
Yeah,
and and I feel like that cup championship here in Concacaf
yeah,
really does a disservice for NWSL teams because
yeah,
I feel like they go out and whoop anyone 6-0 in like in the blink of an eye,
yeah.
and so what the other teams like Corinthians, who does have a women's a what's it called?
And Corinthians played in what I've mentioned like 3 billion times because I would love to see it. The Teal Rising Cup.
Yeah, but I'm trying to mention what's the women's? Oh my god, I'm blanking out. I'm blanking out. What's the tournament in CONMEBOL? Uh, Libertadores. Yeah, they have a women's
Yeah,
Libertadores Cup. They have a women's Libertadores Cup
yeah,
in southern Brazil. Of course, it's just Brazil and Argentina, but you know how hostile it gets. They have
yeah,
and well, of course, Arsenal beat whoever the other team. I think that team was 6-0. But of course, Arsenal, with the Champions League over there, they're conditioned to play that. And I feel like
yeah,
Gotham just got the shorter end of the stick because of not really exposure of international tournaments.
They
And
played
so
great though. No, they played great. The competition is there and the level is there. I watched the game. Gotham was on the front foot for the majority of the game.
yeah,
It didn't fall their way. And I personally would have loved to see Gotham play Arsenal. I
and
think
get
that would have
whooped.
been no. Don't disrespect my bats like that.
Come on, Gunners. Come on, you Gunners.
You guys are gonna bottle the league in both leagues, all right? So
Nah, chill.
calm down. Calm down. Come on, you Blues, champions of Europe. You'll never sing that.
Yeah, but yeah, they're not in the women's club World Cup. But it's okay. But I think it just shows you that the parity of the league.
Yeah.
I think well, of course. So what we have here is very very uh take it for granted. I think you could say,
Yeah.
because I feel like the Concacaf here, other
Mhm.
than the Liga MX Femenil, who's trying to catch up, but still there's still levels of difference, between them. So it's very what we have here at the NWSL is very interesting and very great to see. But I think it's just very much that, the Dash is making moves. The Dash is still making moves. I swear by tomorrow there could be another move that we won't see coming. That's what's gonna happen, and they will get another player or something. So, but February's around the corner.
Mhm.
Preseason starts in February, and so we'll see. Hopefully, sometime next year, hopefully. Uh, for sure, we'll see a schedule of
Mhm.
their preseason tour, who they're facing and when. I know their first open media, uh, you know, availability will be next Monday. That officially the kickstarts their preseason. And see from there. Hopefully, we get more news about that. And then about that, Diego, I just want to before we close this up, before we get the preseason opponents, who do you think the Dashers will be facing preseason?
I think we're gonna be playing maybe a college team, maybe U of H.
I think we always do that. We always pick. I think our college one. I think last year
Yeah.
was.
I think we're gonna be playing Dallas Trinity again.
I know that's the only one that's on schedule right now.
That's on schedule.
I think that's in 2 weeks, I believe.
Maybe we'd play like an Angel City. We normally like to play them.
Yeah, we,
And
we always do one NWSL team.
I think it's gonna be Angel City, and I think Monterrey is one of the Monterrey teams. Probably Tigres is gonna be the other one.
Yeah, I think so. I
But
think.
I do have a question for you. Um,
And
we're
you'd like
talking
it.
award season. We talk Coach of the Year. We have three rookies that might have a shot for Rookie of the Year, and then we have one player, that I mean that Avery Patterson, that has made the NWSL Best 11 in her second year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see her getting Defender of the Year?
Every
What are your
pass,
thoughts on hearing those things?
every passer for the whole league, or for
The whole league. For the whole league.
every
So Avery Patterson, Defender of the Year, and then three rookies for Rookie of the Year. Do
I
you
think
have any thoughts on that? Any ideas?
I think for Avery Patterson it's gonna be hard. I think she
Yeah.
had a great year. I think she came through the numbers, but the problem is that if the team doesn't go well, does it push her team to get through the
Yeah.
playoffs? I think it's very hard for her to win it. So basically,
Okay.
even though her performance herself
Yeah.
uh, will say a lot and put her name, I think, in every year on the ballot, but it depends on the Dash's success, how
Yeah.
much that ballot moves for her.
No,
And I
100%.
think that's something that is going to be hard on her. Rookie of the year. If I had to pick any of the rookies that we have that might get it, I'm thinking either between Kate Fasse, just because a striker,
Yeah.
because the NWSL loves the rookie of the year to be a striker,
Yeah.
in that sense. So if her will be her,
Yeah.
if not, I would say for me, Linda Olmark. I feel
Okay.
like
I think that's a good. I would switch Olmark with with Radar. That's my only switch.
Yeah, yeah, no, Raider because she's more the 10, she's more in the box. I
Raider is,
think,
I think, going to be such a dynamic player. I
but
think that's
I,
going to be the case in this team.
but
A
I
Cola
think I
Prico team that's young, a Cola Prico type player that's younger and maybe even a little more talented. You don't know that looks dangerous. That looks dangerous on paper.
yeah. So it's really, really, really interesting, just really to see where the team is going, from here. So I think it just uh I think in the forefront, I think the Dash may have the rookie of the year at the moment on paper, but of course it's really hard to know how they will perform in the pro leagues and how they develop throughout the season.
Mm-hmm.
You just need performances and stats
Mm-hmm.
to build them up. So we'll see about that. We'll see how other things are going as well. It's really interesting. This is the
Yeah.
beginning. Next week, preseason officially starts for the NWSL officially. Uh, we'll see more of what teams other than the Dallas Trinity that the Houston Dash will face. Hope I know it's gonna be one college team, Dallas Trinity. Hopefully, maybe another a USL Super League or another but NWSL team. And I could say maybe a Liga MX team, but I prefer NWSL team just because I think because no offense, I feel like sometimes the Liga MX teams don't show up and the Dash
All right.
win,
All right. All right.
8-0. So it's like I think I just want someone to be competitive. But
Fair.
of course I forgot to mention, the Dash do play Coachella as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, so with Angel City for sure. Yeah, and so I just forgot about that already. You're right. The Dash does play Coachella,
Yeah.
two teams there, and then just Trinity. So we might, I think, the end of the season we might face a college team. I think the college team will be the last team we face. I think because Coachella thinks in February 8th. I think February
Yeah.
8th is the when week they go out. So I think it's very
Media is now-ish, right?
no, media is this weekend. This weekend,
Yeah.
and there's some Media Day in California is this weekend as well. So it's really much a lot things to come up with. So hopefully we get more news, we get more everything. I just feel like everything's everywhere. I feel like
All at once.
all at once. So like things are coming out to my brain like oh duh. It's like oh duh. It's like but I think just a lot of things to break down and hopefully we get a set schedule. I think sometimes like news already been reported, but like there's no schedule, so like my brain's everywhere. But well, hopefully we get down more now. But once again, thank you for all for coming here, talking with us, chilling with us. Once again, thank you for tuning in the Orange or Blueprints podcast. Always reach us at biocitysoccer.net. Always look out for our social media platforms at biocitysoccer and our Instagram, Twitter, X, Threads. Even though Chris told me I'm weird for doing Threads, believe
Nah,
it or
nah,
not,
nah. Chris,
YouTube.
Chris keeps talking. Nah, you do you. Mention
Chris,
that thread. Mention that blue sky.
I know because Chris is he's a baby boomer living in a millennial body. And so and also we like thank for sponsors Ugly Guppy, Lotus Bravos, and We Got Soccer. So again. Hopefully next week we get more um, details. Hopefully we get to see a little bit more how the teams are working up, and hopefully by then preseason will be here, and then Coachella, and then the season will be started. Well, thank you again. We'll see you tuned next time. Peace.